Alright, for this particular lesson with the variables on the same side, you're going to follow these 3 steps. First of all, your goal is to combine the like terms first, and then ultimately get x alone. So to do that, you do the opposite order of operations. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, you would normally be doing multiply, divide first, then add and subtract, but you're doing the opposite of that. So you're going to get rid of add and subtract first, and then multiplication and division. And then the last thing you need to keep in mind is what you do to one side, you need to do the other. So I'll show you the steps. You need to follow these steps. Some of you are trying to plug and chug, finding an answer for x, plugging it into a calculator. It takes way too long. It's a lot easier just to follow the steps. First thing you need to do is recognize, what are the variables on the same side. You have a positive x or a positive 1x and a 2x. When you combine those two terms, you get 3x. Okay, from there what you're going to do is you're going to bring down everything else. So that 7 comes down, the plus sign comes with it, and equals -5. Alright, so now you have a two-step equation. Your goal is to get rid of the adding and subtracting first. What's tricky about this particular problem is it's reversed order. It's 7 plus 3x. You're getting rid of the 7 first. And to get rid of 7, you subtract 7. Okay? And what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So you're subtracting 7 from both sides. 7 minus 7, that's your whole goal, is to get this thing on x side alone. So they cancel, and you're left with 3x equals. Now this is where it can get tricky. -5 minus 7 more. You got to be very careful when you do this. -5 minus 7 more is -12. That part is where many mistakes are made, doing the incorrect math on that. Alright, from there, order of operations, we got rid of add and subtract. Now we're going to get rid of the multiply or divide. In this case, it's multiplication. So we're going to get rid of the 3 times x by dividing both sides by 3. -12 divided by a positive 3 gives you x equals -4. And that's your answer. Alright, so that's all you have to do for 25. I'll demonstrate the next one on 26, okay, and then you'll be on your own to do the next two to try out. Alright, so for 26 you can see that the x's are separated. So it's important to recognize you have a 5x, a positive 5x, and you have a plus 1x. I like to put that 1 in so you recognize it's 1 times x, which is the same as just x alone. What you're doing is you're combining those two terms. You're going to ignore the -8 or the -8, whichever you want to say. So to combine those two terms, you just basically take 5x plus 1x, and you're going to get 6x. From there, you bring down what you have left. That -8 or -8 equals 28. Alright, so you have your two-step equation now. So you combine the like terms, and now we're going to do the opposite of order of operations to get x alone. So we're going to get rid of the adding and subtracting first. In this case, it's a subtraction problem, the -8. We're not going to focus in on the 6 just yet. So we're going to add 8 to both sides because we're trying to get rid of it on the left side. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So -8 and a positive 8 cancel, and 28 plus 8 is 36. So you're left with 6x, because that just comes right down, equals 36. Your job next is divide. To get rid of the multiplication, you must divide both sides by 6. 6 divided by 6 cancels. You're left with x is equal to 6, because 36 divided by 6 is 6. Alright, so that's how those two problems are done. Got to be very careful when combining the like terms. You have positives and negatives. So I do want to show you number 27 real quick. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to show you when you combine like terms. Notice I'm going to include the negative sign or the minus sign with that 4. So when you combine these like terms, it's important for you to recognize that's a -4x plus 6x. I know most of you think that's 8 minus 4x. And that's okay. You can think of it that way. But when you're combining -4x plus 6x, you got to keep the minus sign involved. So when you combine those two terms, you end up getting 2x, because -4 and positive 6 leaves you with a positive 2. All right? You're going to bring down that 8, and you're going to have an equals 30. This is where you could go wrong, not putting the correct sign in between right here. All right, you got to be sure that you put the right sign. Negative 4x and a positive 6x left you with a positive 2. So that means you're going to be putting in a plus sign right here. Even though there was originally a negative there, or a minus, you're bringing down a plus, and then you'll be okay. All right, so that's how that's done.